What up, dog? It's your boy Obama. You're listening to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Faux shizzle my nizzle. Let's get this podcast going. Drop it on like a strap-on. Pause your game of ping pong. We don't want no ding-dong. And these boys are never wrong. Time to get set up like King Kong. Nick and Steve are going to Rampage. It's a podcast of the new age. I think it's time to turn the proverbial page, so raise a glass to break in that rusty cage. Now it's time to save the drama for ya mama. I said that using a comma, because I'm Barack Obama. Go ahead, fellers. We don't want no ding-dong.
You won't get no ding-dong around here, Barack. And thank you for welcoming us to our own show, The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Yeah, I've been wondering what Obama's been up to with all his free time. He's working on his beats, his freestyle there.
Yeah, he's spitting out bars, dude. I mean, that's Barack Obama, ladies and gentlemen. We have all kinds of people that listen to this show. Thank you for being one of them. See our webpage, if you would, please.
Yeah, it's thevocalminority.net. There's stuff there, but really the fun is on all of our social media accounts, and every site is different. We post all the same stuff there, but the feedback we get is dramatically different. So be part of all that. TikTok and YouTube are probably the most successful for us right now, but we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Threads, we're on Reddit, and we're on Facebook too. So go check all that out.
Yeah, the show's starting to pick up steam, and we thank you for that as our downloads are increasing. Call or comment line. You want something to change? You love what you're hearing? 844-48-VOCAL.
Indeed. Yeah, we had someone this week on one of our pages tell us that we were the worst of America. Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. It is America, but just so you know, Nick and I have never, raped anyone. We've never stolen from a kid's charity. We've never committed insurrection. We're not committed felons. We're not but sure, we're the worst of society.
Worst of society right here. Yeah. You have a good gauge.
Never cheated on our wives with a porn star while our wives were pregnant. These little things.
Just never cheated in general. I've never met Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know. Have you?
No. It's fun stuff, though. So, yeah, find us on all those pages. There's a lot of love going on in the interwebs out there for us. So, and there actually is some love. So be part of that, right?
Yeah. Well, like we always say, we'll take either or. But, just join us on the website. Join us on our socials. And thank you for being here, joining us now.
That's right. We'll take either or either, just not neither or neither. Okay.
You would have been a good teacher, dude. You say things that people will be like, oh, remember when Mr. Harness said that fun thing you just said? I can't even remember it, but it was great, dude. You're making bars of your own, just like Barack Obama.
I'm inspired by Obama. He's always been an inspirational dude. There you go. And hanging out on the interwebs as much as I have been of late because, it's just the energy out there is palpable with the political movements going on. And, the Olympics and all this cancel culture stuff with the various Olympic things. And some of these just ridiculous controversies going on. So many butthurt people. Let's cancel Deadpool. Let's cancel female boxers. There's a lot of despicable sort of people out there on the interwebs. A lot of low class kind of people. I think that's a nicer way to say it, right?
Low rent, low class. They're all out there. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. So I found an article this week talking about low class habits that get the side eye from society. But I'm wondering if all of these actually do get the side eye from society and or how low is the bar nowadays, or how high is the bar to actually be considered low class? You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what. Is it Simone Biles high, or, is it a lower bar or beam?
Yes. I mean, on the previous episode, Nick and I were talking about, Nick getting into a confrontation in a parking lot with some punk kid. I had a punk middle school kid this past school year screaming N-word at me and wanting to fight me, an adult male, in the parking lot of the school. I mean, there's a lot of low-class stuff going on out there.
Yeah, there is, and I do give the side eye, but now I'm starting to speak up a little bit here, so it'll be interesting to see what's on your list.
Right. Now, I will say I'm sitting here today in a T-shirt, and you can't see below my waist, but I've got ripped jeans on. Could be considered low class. Could be considered ultra cool and hip. I don't know.
And there's a big old penis in that pouch, too, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's definitely hip.
Yes. Give it the side eye, won't you?
Speaking of the Olympics in my package, did you see this thing about the pole vaulter who knocked down the bar with his package, his junk?
Yes, I did. And it's hysterical. I'm a little junior high aged boy. I mean, it's really funny to see.
Yes, and I really do love my girlfriend. She sent me the little video of that guy knocking down the pole with his package, and she said her comment was, "I guess this is why you're not a pole vaulter. You would definitely knock that bar down."
That's real good. Say I love you without saying I love you.
Exactly. So, anyways, let's run through a couple of these things on the list of and determine, are these low class things? Do they deserve the side eye? And the first one on the list, I'd like to say I never see this, but I do. Wearing pajamas in public. I tend to see it in younger people, but I see it at the grocery store almost on every time I go there. Someone's wandering around in their pajamas.
You're talking just like pajama pants, like not the actual whole suit of pajamas.
Not like the 1950s dad in the pajamas with the pipe or whatever. No, yeah, pajama pants, ratty T-shirt.
It's funny, dude, because when I was a teenager, I used to take so much pride in, like, I don't care what I look like when I go out. Yeah, I'll go to the store after a hard night out in my pajama bottoms. Like, I don't care. Then it became a fad where, like, people were like, yeah, like you put your pajama pants on to go to the store. All right. It's not cool anymore.
Is that what it is? Is that why I see it so much?
Yes.
Now, I can make the argument that, pajamas are comfortable and casual, just like the ripped jeans I'm wearing right now. But I haven't gone to a store in my pajamas since I was a 20-something-year-old rock and roll stoner who was out till 4 a.m, tripping on shrooms or whatever. And yeah, you just sort of stumble into Walmart the next day to get coffee or something. But
that's fair. I just don't think it's worthy of side eye. Like, I don't think I would judge anyone for doing it other than to be like, stupid. You're a little old for that.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's maybe the distinction. When I see teens or 20-somethings, I cut them all the slack in the world for everything. But if I saw a 40, 50-something-year-old person at Walmart wearing their pajamas, I think they'd get the side eye from me.
Yeah, I guess so. That's fair. That's fair.
Have you seen that website before, the People of Walmart, where just pictures of actual shoppers in there and just the most dirt-ass, disgusting clothing?
Just like butt cheeks hanging out, tits falling out, wearing a wrestling singlet when you're 450 pounds and dirty.
I literally, a couple of weeks ago, I have a Walmart near me now that I've moved away from the mountains, and I showed up there on a day, I don't remember what I was doing, but I had my ripped jeans and flip-flops on, and I had this momentary thing of like, I look a little scummy to be going into a business. And then I was like, it's Walmart.
It's Walmart.
I'm in Nevada.
Relax, dude. Come on.
Right. I'm wearing a tuxedo compared to what everyone else is doing.
Yes.
Low-class things that deserve the side eye nowadays. This seems awfully snobby. Using public transportation. Reliance on buses, trains, subways instead of personal vehicles is sometimes perceived as low-class behavior. That seems very antiquated thinking, doesn't it?
I would say so, dude. Have you ever been to Europe? I mean, people love public transportation in Europe, and they have great public transportation. We should be following that more. Are some people on public transportation because they can't afford a car? Sure. Are some business professionals on there as well? Like, it's public transportation. What do you do? What are you looking down at people for? That's weird to me.
Yeah. That's very snobby, if you ask me. There's basically, I think, two types of people that ride public transportation. Those that are earth-friendly and they don't want to have one car taking one person back and forth, and that's noble. Or the working class people you were talking about. You can't afford a car, but where are you going? You're probably going to a job.
Yes. The only people you should be giving side eye to on the bus are the tweakers. You know, the people that are on the bus doing weird shit. If you're just traveling on public transportation, like, yeah, that's snobby, dude.
Especially in a metropolitan city nowadays, it's almost stupid to have a car. If you're living in a major city and just driving that thing around, Neo's going off to college in Chicago. They're not taking their car. They see how stupid of an idea that is. Parking and, traffic and all that stuff. Take the freaking subway, the bus, whatever,
Paying to park, 30 days out of the month. I mean, you got to store that car. I mean, why would you do it? Just jump on the bus or the train. Come on.
Yeah, in Seattle back in the day, that was always my struggle of, if it took you an hour to get to work, I would usually leave like 2 hours early or an hour and a half because you have to drive around looking for a parking space that you could possibly afford. What were you telling me? They were charging at an event recently for parking?
Rachel and I went to opening day of baseball this year in Seattle. Parking across the board was $120 to park for the baseball game.
I mean, that is crazy and certainly discriminatory.
Yeah, I'll side-eye for that shit, dude. That's what I should be side-eyeing. I was like, $120? Are you crazy?
I went to an event in San Francisco a year or so ago, and parking was $60, and I thought that was outrageous. So doubled in Seattle.
It's a racket, Steve.
It is. I would not look down my nose at people using public transportation. They're probably the smarter of us all.
Yeah, right.
Some more low-class habits to get the side-eye from society. Eating fast food frequently. Fast food is generally more affordable than dining in at a sit-down restaurant or preparing meals at home, which is debatable nowadays. People with limited financial resources may rely on fast food as a convenient, budget-friendly option. I don't know. We've talked about on the show, I used to eat fast food all the frickin' time, and I never thought it was low class. It was more convenient, and I was a 20-something-year-old that didn't know how to cook or anything. But
yes, I understand that people perceive it that way, but think about this, dude. When you talk about people who have to budget their food for the month, there used to be a day when fast food was just cheap. You could get a meal and it was cheap. It's not that way anymore. It costs more to eat fast food than it does to, get some sandwich stuff or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's poor to look down your nose at any of that stuff and side-eye it, because people are either doing it because they have to or because they want to. What do you care, dude? Go back to worrying about Pride Month. I don't know what to tell you.
And the caveat on here, eating fast food frequently. How would you know if someone's eating there frequently? I mean, if it's your best friend and you want to give them crap for it, I guess. But are you just showing up at McDonald's and looking down your nose at everyone?
Yeah, you got binoculars.
Yeah. Yes, you look from the parking lot with binoculars, then you put your monocle in and go in there, admonish.
Right, yes.
So I don't know. And yeah, it's debatable. Fast food nowadays is really not all that affordable. We talked last episode about, the economic concerns going on in the country right now, that McDonald's posted a quarterly loss, and that is a broader indicator that if people aren't eating McDonald's as much, they may not be making as much. But it's a cart before the horse thing. Like, prices have gone way up at fast food, and most of those are independently owned. They're franchises.
Yeah.
So a McDonald's in one part of town may not charge what the one town over is. And some of those people would say inflation is why I'm charging more for hamburgers, and that's why people are eating blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's gotten expensive, and that's a big part of it.
Just had this argument the other day with people talking about, how expensive stuff was, and we got to get, the Democrats out of office or whatever. And I was like, I don't know why you guys like to ignore the fact that corporations are in record profit status, like profits they've never made before. This is corporate greed at its finest, and you're pushing it off on politics. I mean, it's crazy. McDonald's is expensive, dude. Maybe it's not such a good indicator anymore. Last time I went to McDonald's and got just food for me, and I didn't eat more than one meal, it was $17, $18. Like, that's fucking crazy for McDonald's.
Yes, it is. And I love the assertion that, okay, so Biden's been in office and that's why my groceries cost more, or gas prices. The president controls gas prices. Don't you think if there was some silver bullet that a president could just make food cheaper, make gas cheaper? Why would they not do that? And why do you think Trump's policy of cutting taxes for everyone, that you think that's going to solve it? Like, if there's a silver bullet, everyone would do it. It's a little more complicated, and we exist in a global market.
That's the other thing, dude. Do you think all these other countries are in on it too? I mean, it's across the board, dum-dum.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people about gas prices. Like, well, we didn't do as many pipelines in this country, and that's why Biden stopped those, or Obama stopped them. That's why gas prices are high. Show me the country that has pipelines everywhere and gas costs 10 cents a nickel, or 10 cents a gallon.
10 cents a nickel? That's a ripoff, dude.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you could do that, if you could just drill, and gas prices would drop to nothing, show me the country that has done that.
I saw somebody just recently at a rally asking questions, and they were like, what do you say that, America has, we're producing more oil than we've ever produced before under Biden. That's bullshit. He said, why do you say that way? I mean, that's the facts. And she was like, he closed down Keystone. Do you guys realize anything about Keystone and how much oil it didn't produce for America? You nitwit.
Not to mention when it was shut down, quote unquote, it was years away from completion. It was not going to solve any short-term issues. But an extra pipeline or two is not going to manipulate a global market. And again, if it was that easy, of course, Biden, Obama, every president would just be doing pipelines.
Yeah. And we're, see, our president, the one you're voting for, is eating fast food. So let's give him the side eye and see what's next on our list, Stephen.
I do give him the side eye for that. I mean, seriously, when he invited athletes to the White House and bought them all Big Macs, that is worthy of side eye.
Completely, dude.
Next on the list here, low-class habits, quote unquote, to get the side eye from society. Living in a multi-family home. Sharing living spaces with extended family members or multiple households can be considered low class. But it's important to recognize that being a multifamily home does not inherently determine an individual's monetary standing and lifestyle choices.
These people are crazy so far on this list. I mean, why would you cite it? They're not doing it because maybe they are doing it because they want to. Otherwise, they're doing it because they have to. You complain about homeless people, and then you complain about people housing themselves with too many people involved.
Kudos. That is a great thing to point out. You're exactly right. Conservatives are always looking down their nose at homeless people. But then, yeah, if several people in a bad economic situation want to live together, certainly if they're a family, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And there are obviously cultures. We're well aware, like, Asian cultures. That's so common that generations live with each other, and that's just normal. It's not even about economics.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of Mexican families that live in California, they have a lot of family living with them. Why? I don't understand. If you enjoy being around these people, what's the problem? Don't
and
look
are conservatives not always preaching about family values and all this, but then you're going to look down at the Asian family or the Mexican family that generations are living together?
We're not going to give it the side eye, Steve. We won't.
No. And I should point out, this article is written by Johann Hunt. Johann? Johann. Johann, I guess is what that is.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Johann. That sounds a little elitist right there. So far, we're not digging your side eye worthy.
No.
This may be a secret, like you might be a douchebag if you give people side eye for any of these things.
Yeah, it could be.
Now we're going to hit a little close to home, Nick Reynolds. Smoking in public areas. Public smoking, especially in non-designated areas, is often associated with fellows from a humble background. Smoking in public areas can be seen as a breach of social etiquette, especially if smoking is prohibited, which, I mean, that's a little different. But
yeah.
Smoking in public, is that low class? Do you deserve the side eye, Nick?
Listen, I've smoked for years, and I will tell you that I don't think you should have to smell like I smell. Like, it's the worst thing about smoking cigarettes is that it makes you smell like smoke. It's gross. So I don't necessarily feel like if I'm smoking around people, I try and stay away from them far enough that it's not going to get on them, because I think there should be some etiquette. But that said, I have been forced out of this world, dude. The last place that Rachel and I went, there was no smoking on the property. We were staying there for a week. Like, I can't go outside and smoke a cigarette by myself. That's a little crazy.
I think there's a distinction I would make. Like, you used a word, disgusting. Like, smoking is disgusting on some levels because you do smell and it does get your hands tarry and whatnot. But I don't know that it's low class. I mean, there's all sorts of Hollywood imagery and whatnot of very sophisticated people smoking and whatnot. But yeah, it is a little gross. I do feel bad for you guys because on one level, smoking is completely legal. It's been happening in this country, in this world forever and ever and ever. Yet everyone kind of feels okay about demonizing you guys and making you stand outside in the rain to go smoke or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't mind, dude. I don't think I should be. I think it's right that you said, hey, you can't smoke on planes anymore. You can't smoke on this, Like, I get all that. It is going out into other people's faces and stuff. I understand that it's a tad gross for people that don't smoke. But you got to leave a space for us. There's a lot of us. Low class? I don't think so. Low rent? I don't think so. I couldn't smoke if I was poor. I'll tell you that. Smoking has become so expensive. There's nothing low class about it.
That's true. That actually may be an indicator that you got some money. If you're smoking some cigarettes, you got money to burn, apparently. So.
I smoke 5 packs a day. I'm rich as shit, dude.
There are nights out in the town where, I'll wear one of my button-up shirts and if we're just going out to a restaurant or something, I come home, I put that shirt back in the closet because it's not dirty. But if I go to a casino or a concert where cigarettes around, like, yeah, you do come home reeking like it. And I do give you the side eye for that. Not because I think it's low class. Like I said, it's just a little gross. And now I smell like an ashtray and I got to wash it. So
even when I come home from the casino, dude, the first thing I do when I walk in the door is put my clothes, take them off and put them in the washer. It's gross. So, yeah, just be respectful with it. Give people... Don't smoke and blow smoke on people, dude. It's not right.
I guess they can make the also argument, too, that certain chemicals are not illegal. But I'm not going to show up at a restaurant and start mixing chemicals to make a stink bomb and be like, oh, I enjoy this. Relax. Shut up over there.
I only do it when I'm stressed. Just relax a little bit, okay?
Just when I have a beer, I like to make stink bombs, so shut up. All right. Low-class things, quote-unquote, habits that are getting the side eye from society. Overusing slang or street language. I don't know. Is there anything new about that? I mean, that's certainly a younger thing, but overusing slang. Don't we all use slang constantly almost?
Listen, I use slang all the time, and I refer to people as dude. I've never referred to a cop as dude. Know your audience, dude. Read the room. Like, I use it 90% of the time in my life. I know when it shouldn't be used. So, yeah, I use slang, but I don't use it at the wrong time.
I think you sound a little squarish if you're never using it, but most slang side-eye probably comes from the older generation that doesn't know what the new terms are, so they feel antiquated and old. I mean, I've already seen it with my kids, and yeah, it makes me feel old. And my parents used to hate it when I said dude all the time or whatever. And so, yeah, I think you're projecting your fear of getting older if you're side-eyeing for slang. Here's an interesting one on the list because this has come up in my personal life of late. And I see it all over in society. Low-class habits to get the side eye. Having visible tattoos. Tattoos have become insanely common. I feel like I'm the freak that has no tattoos. You know the circus sideshow used to be the tattooed man that had tattoos from head to toe. Right. I think nowadays it would be the untattooed man. Like, look, this man has no tattoos.
Virgin skin, ladies and gentlemen.
I was just at a big concert this weekend, and I mean, everybody has ink all over them, and some ink is really cool and impressive. Some looks a little tacky and low class to me, but you can't give someone the side eye for having tattoos nowadays because you're the minority.
Hey, dude, it's just like clothes. Sometimes you see someone wearing a great outfit. Sometimes they're wearing a no fear sweatshirt. Some of it's tacky,
Yeah, sure. But, I mean, it used to be in the old days of, you couldn't get a job if you had tattoos and stuff. Now, I would argue neck tattoos and face tattoos still deserve a side eye. You should just tattoo, don't hire me on your forehead then. Like, that does seem really tacky to me. But I'm seeing it everywhere.
We're evolving. I don't mind a neck tattoo. Face tattoo, like, you definitely have to work in a certain profession. But I don't mind a neck tattoo. And in fact, I would tell you that if my doctor has a sleeve on or whatever, like, it doesn't make me trust them any less. It doesn't really bother me. If you have prison tattoos, maybe that makes me question where you've been and what you're up to, but for the most part, I trust you as a normal, average person if you have some ink on you.
Would you trust your doctor or your lawyer or some professional type if they had a cover-up tattoo? Meaning they made a mistake and had to get that thing covered up. Now, do you question their judgment anymore?
Unless my doctor or lawyer is Jesus Christ himself, like everyone's going to make a mistake. Like, it doesn't bug me.
Right. My ex-wife is about to get remarried, and her new guy, who is a nice guy, I like him very much, but he got a tattoo on his back for his ex-wife. And he had to go get a massive cover-up, and it was a big tattoo on his back. So the cover-up, yeah, I mean, how cover-ups work. You got to kind of double it up so it, covers up the original. So now he's got this gigantic tattoo on his back that just sort of speaks to maybe a little bad judgment,
What was on his back that would have been for his wife?
I think it was her name, or maybe their wedding date or something. I don't know that I ever got the answer, but it was very specific to his wife. They got divorced and immediately had to get it covered up. And I've seen the cover up. It's gigantic.
That's funny, dude. You're right. I mean, yeah. Oh, I made a poor decision. I had to take care of this. It shows people that. But don't do that, dude. Don't put a girl's name or your anniversary dates on your skin. Just don't do it. I don't know why you haven't learned.
That's one of the reasons I've never gotten a tattoo. I wonder how it will age. I would have Spider-Man tattoos all over me and stuff. And maybe I think we're so cool or something. And I will say, Kennedy, she has a cover-up tattoo, but it's because the guy that did her ink spelled a word wrong on her body. It was some inspirational word, and the guy spelled it wrong. So she had to go get a cover-up tattoo. The classic, tattoo oopsie. You didn't spell check the damn thing.
Yeah, none of my tattoos have happened without a stencil. I just won't do it. And then hopefully you bring someone with you and show it to them and be like, everything's right. Yeah, because that happens a lot, dude.
That's insane. She apparently did not have a stencil, but they sketched it out, and I think on the sketch it was spelled correctly. But then this tattoo artist just was like, I think I know the word spell. And just went let me tell you, when I post a video for us on social media, if there's any word I have any question about, I make sure I'm spelling it correctly. Yeah. Permanently tattooing a word on someone, you don't double check that?
It's crazy, dude. That is crazy.
That's not low class. That's you being victimized, basically, by some dumbass.
A really stoned tattoo artist or something,
All right, low class habits to get the side eye from society. Here's a debatable one. Shopping at discount dollar stores. Which, by the way, dollar stores, these are some of the biggest growing stores in the country, which probably speaks to economic, hardships going on. But I don't know. I've been in some dollar stores where I feel there's some items that make sense to go get there, but a lot of that stuff does not make sense, and I do feel a little trashy going into those stores.
You realize that most of these dollar stores, the Dollar Tree, grocery outlet, bargain market, these are all companies like Overstock.com, where they're getting overstock from people and they're able to get it cheaper and they mark it down and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it is a little lower class. I don't even want to say class. I don't know why we're looking down on people for not having money, but low rent, I suppose. I don't know. I get it. You see stuff happen in the dollar store like you do Walmart. So I understand why maybe you think that, but there is great things to get at the dollar store. Greeting cards is my number one thing. Greeting cards have become so expensive. It's a fucking racket. And I buy them at the dollar store and they're fantastic.
That's a good one. Because I agree. I like getting cards for people. Damn, they're expensive just for a little dumb card. So I think there are some items that make sense. I think it's the food that cringes me out a little. If you're buying a box of pasta, sure. But if you're buying produce that's overstocked and this thing's about to expire in a day or two, I don't know. That's where I feel a little scummy about it.
If you had less money, you'd feel differently about it,
I'm pretty dirt poor right now. I still shop at
You've got those high standards.
I will say though, TJ Maxx around here, that's an overstock store nowadays. They got a lot of good items in there, clothing, and I got a little Bluetooth speaker there that was really cheap and affordable that cost twice as much if you went online or something. So sometimes you feel good about the bargains, and other times, I guess it's just like food or medicine. I would just be very cautious about. Not saying I'm looking down my nose at you for doing it, but I just personally feel a little scummy about some of the items in those stores.
It's fair. You don't have to buy them all. So, but it's good that they're there for the people that need them.
Yeah. That's low class what you just did there, Nick. I'd like you to apologize to the audience for perfect.
Sorry, you guys.
All right, low class habits to get the side eye from society. Not having health insurance. You're an asshole if you look at somebody in this country for not having health insurance. We have the worst health, system in this country, in the world. About health insurance. We've talked about it before. Everything's overpriced. I went into massive medical debt when my daughter was born with a birth anomaly, and we had to do hospitals and lost my health insurance, maxed out benefits. You're an asshole if you look down your nose at somebody that can't afford health insurance. And by the way, I pay for my own health insurance nowadays. It's expensive. I'm paying $1,000 a month for something I not even use. But then if you don't have it and you need it, you're screwed. We have a terrible system.
Yes, we do. We've talked about it on this program at length. If you're looking down on people for not having health insurance, you think they don't want it, dude? You don't think that everyone... I can't tell you. I went through a 6-month period where I didn't have health insurance. I can't tell you how vulnerable I felt, not having it. And some people go years or lifetimes without having health insurance. It's nothing to look down on. It's terrible. Should never happen.
We should be looking down at the system we have in place and or politicians that don't want to change it. I mean, so many other modern advanced democracies have either single payer or government, supplied health insurance. And it's so much better. It's so much smarter. The idea of getting sick and going bankrupt like I did, I mean, it's insane. And it's a uniquely American thing.
Yes, 100%. I mean, take that one off the list. That's stupid and very offensive.
Yeah. I'm not agreeing with almost anything on here. I mean, there's been maybe one or two I've got some leaning, but a lot of this is very snobbery. So, low-class habits, engaging in public displays of affection. Now, that's an interesting one right there. Now, PDAs, public displays of affection, have always bothered me when they're passing a certain threshold. The couple that's got their arm around each other or walking hand in hand, maybe a little kiss, like that's noble, that's admirable. But obviously, if you're shoving your tongue down someone's throat in the booth at Applebee's, like, yeah, that's low class, actually. I would give you side eye. It's
just ranked on a scale of how passionate is the PDA. Is it a quick kiss? Is it a handhold or whatever? Yes, I want my nieces and nephews, I want your kids to see what people in love look like and how to treat them, right? Like, that's not a bad thing. But if you're passionately making out or touching any of your genitalia in an Applebee's booth, that's low class or low rent.
Go to the back row of the movie theater, wait till the lights are off, and then it's fun.
Do you guys learn nothing from this man who jerked in the movie theater? You could do PDA with yourself, too, and it's still a side-eye worthy event.
It also obviously depends on the setting. I will say, again, Kennedy and I were at a concert this weekend, and as the evening progressed and it's dark outside and you're in a tightly packed crowd and you're a couple of beers in, by that last artist, who was Shaggy, by the way, Mr. Boombastic, we were, I don't want to say we were grinding, but we were dancing close, and my hands are going up and down her thighs and stuff. And I tried to keep it classy, not grope her straight up, but is that a little more acceptable in a tightly packed, dark concert with a bunch of adults where you're all drinking and smoking versus doing it at the PTA meeting?
Well, of course it is, dude. Did you go in pants at all, or was it all just out of pants?
It was all above clothing, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So, you didn't do anything wrong, dude. Read the room. Yes.
Now, I have told the story before about an ex of mine that used to jerk off guys in concerts, strangers. She would get up close in these crowded areas and just be like, hey, he seems cool. I'm going to jerk him off. Like, that seems a little far.
This episode of Mental Illness is brought to you by women who jack off strangers at concerts. That is above and beyond.
Yeah, I've got a pretty high bar for when I'll look down my nose at somebody for sexual exploits they've been through. I have heard a lot from a lot of people, and I've never been like, that's kind of scummy. But when that woman told me that story, that was the first time I was like, that's skanky, man. Like, that's not cool.
Maybe if I was all chubbed up and watching a porn, like maybe I would find that exciting. If I already had my dirty fluids and my reasoning skills, but just thinking about it, as a regular human with a soft peanut, that's foul.
Okay. Give me an honest answer, honestly. Like, if you were in that same setting and it was not a stranger, it was your wife, it's Rachel, or with me and Kennedy, like, would that be too much PDA if your person decided to manipulate you in public like that?
Yes. Inside my pants?
Yeah. Yes.
It's too much, dude. It's too much. Like, maybe I'm too old. I don't know. Maybe ask 19-year-old Nick. Maybe I'd have a different story.
That's a valid point. I will say I was in England. This was around the year 1999 or something. So, I was in my early 20s. And the woman who I went with, who was my girlfriend of like 2 years or whatever at that point, she gave me a hand job on the train, like under a jacket.
It's a bit low class, but I think you were in the right age range, dude, because I think that I would, especially, you wouldn't have taken it from a stranger. That's where it gets weird. Like, who are you? You're touching my most vulnerable piece of body.
Yes. And by the way, like, there was no one sitting next to us or anything. The jacket was like, just extra caution. It was, a train. No one could see us. But, I don't know.
It's kind of hot.
Yeah, it was kind of hot. Real quick, have you seen this TikTok challenge going on where a woman will have her guy like sleeping on the couch or something, and they will take a raw hot dog and put it in his zipper so that the hot dog's sticking up, and then they'll wake him up, and right as he's waking up, they cut the hot dog with the scissors.
Oh, no, dude, no.
Oh, it's out there. And every dude appropriately has a freaking heart attack because he's just looking down in a phase and he sees her, they jump up freaking like, what? I would have a freaking heart attack. That's not funny, ladies.
No, dude. That is awful. That gives me freaking nightmares. And I've seen the putting a hot dog in your husband's mouth while he's asleep, and then having your pants pulled down, next to him or whatever. That's funny. But cutting my peanut like not John Bonet. Who cut a peanut?
John Bob.
Yeah, that's right. That's a no-go.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't do that, ladies. Okay, back to the topic here. Low-class habits get the side eye from society. I think this one may have been true for a while, but I want to say we're catching on to this. Not pursuing higher education, meaning not going to a 4-year college and getting a degree, used to be considered kind of low-class. And, my main point on that I have told my kids is that most colleges are completely overrated and overpriced. If you're going to pursue a career where a degree is needed, you do not need to go to Harvard or Yale, go to any state college. No one in the real world gives a shit. If you have an economics degree, who cares what college you came from? And after your first job, no one cares at all what college you went through. They want to know about your real world experience. But if you have a career that is not necessary for a 4-year degree, go to a vocational school. Plumbers, electricians, they make very good money. They go to a vocational school. I'm a broadcaster. I went to a broadcasting school. I didn't go to a 4-year college. It's just dumb, this emphasis that everyone should go to a 4-year college.
That's the way we grew up, right? Where I felt like I was looked down on because I was going to a vocational school to become a broadcaster, not going to a 4-year college, getting a degree. People did judge it. I know a lot of girls who are like, oh, I wouldn't date someone without a college education. I've heard that. That's so freaking snobby, first of all. But that's how we grew up. Now the tide is starting to change, and that is a good thing because we're seeing it's a waste of freaking money, dude. We just had to give forgiveness to all this college debt away because we screwed people. You got to go to school, and you brought up colleges, like certain colleges only. If you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, does it really matter going to Harvard? Like that will give you a little credence in those professions. But overall, like you said, go to your community college if you want to get down with economics, or go to trade school. Just do what you're going to do. We shouldn't look down on it.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue you do want some continuing education after high school, but it does not have to be a 4-year degree. And if it does not have to be the elitists, And I was also thinking, like, even if, like, let's say right now I went to apply for a job at Spotify or something else in the broadcasting world, and they said, gee, you don't have a college degree, so we're not going to hire you. My college degree would have been 30 years ago. What would it have to do with anything in this modern world?
That's a great point, dude. But we even saw it with broadcasting at radio stations for a while. They started telling people, oh, I need a 4-year communications degree for you to be a broadcaster. That's crazy, dude. And they saw that, oh, we're not getting the talent that we thought we would. That's like telling a rock and roll band, oh, we're going to drug test you. Like, what are you doing, dude? You're eliminating people that are going to do this job well.
And speaking of what we're just saying here, the next thing on the list is looking down your nose at people that work in manual labor or service industry jobs. Like, you are a snobby asshole if you're looking down your nose at a plumber, an electrician, HVAC guy. I don't know. I mean, I've started to wonder if maybe I should have gone into some sort of construction or something. There's something to me very rewarding about working with your hands and fixing something or building something. Like, I think it's kind of cool and noble. I don't think that's scummy at all.
No, it's not, dude. And it is funny to see that, like, you want to know how to do those things. I think it's cool as shit to know somebody that could, if the food chain stopped today, could grow their own food, produce their own food, stuff like that. I don't do it. I'm not in the know-how. I think that's pretty cool, dude.
No, for sure. I would more look down my nose at the the doctor that calls the plumber, and it takes the plumber 2 seconds. Like, all you have to do is turn this knob on and off, and you're fine. Like, idiot. Like,
Yes,
now let me charge you $500 because you made me drive out to your house because you can't look up on YouTube some basic plumbing question.
Right. Yeah, that's YouTube University. It'll take you a long way.
Yeah. Next one on the list: low class things that get the side eye. DIY projects, often associated with folks of humble backgrounds that are trying to be cost effective. Isn't DIY like a major trend in home renovations and everything else?
It's been the biggest thing and created HTV. I mean, this is a huge network of people going crazy. Chip and Joanna Gaines have this huge business because of this. I don't think that's a look down on you.
No. Yeah, no, you're right. There's a ton of money in some of those people from HGTV and whatnot. And yeah, you're saving yourself a lot of money if you can DIY it correctly, and it will feel more rewarding. And there's an entire hardware store chain out there right now called DIY. Like, I don't think they'd call themselves DIY if it was scummy or low class to go shop there.
Yeah, I mean, literally, dude, Home Depot, Lowe's, look at the money that all this stuff has started to bring in when DIY got big. I don't think it's scummy.
Yeah. This really does strike me as an elitist list. Like, if you do think these things are low class, it's probably you, not anyone else. The next thing on the list is wearing secondhand clothing is low class, and you can get the side eye for it. I don't know where the hell you're living that's true. Maybe there's so many new clothes look, secondhand. Like, since when is that a scummy thing,
This seems like a list written from Beverly Hills or something, I mean, this is crazy. Secondhand clothes. You're the people in Beverly Hills that are paying, $1,000 for a secondhand pair of jeans. So it makes no sense.
Absolutely. I would give you the side eye if you buy brand new jeans that are ripped. Like, I'm wearing ripped jeans right now. They're ripped naturally. If you go to the store and pay top dollar because they're ripped, like, you're a tool, man.
We grew up shopping in thrift stores, dude. Not for all our clothes, not our underwear, not our bras, but we grew up shopping in thrift stores.
For sure. Let me just do one more on our list here, because this one bothers me. Low-class habits get the side eye from society. Not owning a home, being a renter.
Wow.
Not everyone can afford to buy a home in this day and age. The good old days of $20,000 down and easy low interest rates, I mean, that does not exist anymore. It's now 20% down, which in your average market is a 6-figure down payment or deposit. And I don't know. I mean, there's advantages to renting a house, too. If this roof leaks, I'm not fixing it. When taxes are due, I'm not fixing it. I live in a very nice home. I'm sure what I'm paying in rent is what the neighbors are paying in mortgage. I just didn't have the money for a down payment, so sorry.
You may be paying more than the neighbor next door for their mortgage. That's completely outdated, I think. Upfront and honest that you found out over the last 2 years, it's much more difficult to make purchases like a home or even a car when you're a one-person income. You don't have a partner that's putting into the pool. People like your kids, I don't know if they'll be able to buy houses, dude. Not until something great or magical happens. You know what I mean? It's just too much for people.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a very valid point you bring up. Being a single parent or whatever. I mean, when I was married, my income was essentially double or maybe even triple. But yeah, when you're doing it on your own, it becomes extremely difficult. And yeah, in this housing market, in this day and age with interest rates and what you have to put down. And, I've been reading all sorts of articles about that. Basically, the median income in this country is not enough to qualify for the median home prices in this country. Unless you do have 2 incomes or all this money to put down, which I don't know how you would. You essentially have to be in the real estate game nowadays to continue that. If you don't have a property to sell to roll into the next one, I don't know how you're coming up with $200,000 to put down on a house.
The only way I got into a house was through Rachel. We got a VA loan because she's a veteran, and we didn't have to put down that much money on our house. You know what I mean? But if you have to, you're screwed. And we always talk about, like, we got into the market at the right time because our house is essentially doubled from what we paid for it. But if I go to sell it right now to cash out, where am I going to go? I don't know if I can afford to buy another house. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You'd have to roll it into something else, and it may not even qualify. I did see something saying that because of this, economic issues going on of late, that actually interest rates should be dropping, because apparently when the money goes from the stock market to the bonds and treasuries, that lowers interest rates on mortgage rates and whatnot. So that may be a little silver lining, but you still got to come up with the six figures to put down. So good luck to you.
Yeah, and if you vote blue, no matter who, you're going to get programs where, like, first-time home buyers, stuff like this, that help people afford homes in this crazy, crazy market. They're trying to do stuff for you. So another reason to vote blue, no matter who.
Exactly. So there you go. There's some low-class things. I don't think almost anything on that list deserves a side eye. So if you do, you may want to look in the mirror and give yourself a little side eye.
Yeah, I think we only had one off the list with smoking cigarettes. I think that was the only real low-class thing, and face tattoos for you. So how about a smoking person with a face tattoo? That's really worthy of a side eye, don't you think?
I think so. I would just kick him in the nuts. Yes.
But he wouldn't be a boring person. I got a list that I want to read to you now that talks about behaviors that make you a boring person to be around.
Okay. I've been wondering sometimes if I'm boring or fun, or is it okay to have a casual night at home, just watch a movie? Is that boring, or is that normal? I don't know.
Oh, I think that's normal. I think that most of these behaviors are going to be like, oh, hey, you are actually a boring person. It's not that you won't go see a Marvel movie. It's that you're just boring for me to breathe the same oxygen as because your behaviors are boring.
Okay. Hit me with it.
You focus too much on yourself. That makes you a boring person. If there's one thing you learn is that people love to hear about themselves. So if you're spending time with someone, you should be the person talking about them because, well, we like it. We're just drawn to that immediately. When people talk to us about us, do you like it or hate it?
It's interesting. I mean, you're a better conversationalist if you're obviously asking the other person questions about themselves. I mean, but you also have to share about yourself too. I mean, how does someone get to know you otherwise? I would also argue just clinical narcissist like Donald Trump, who always talks about himself. He's not actually boring. You can't call him boring.
Oh, that's interesting. But he's an anomaly, dude. Most people, we know these people. We know people that we go to lunch with, and that lunch is going to be a lot different with that person than it is with Nick Reynolds. Because I'm not boring, dude. I'm going to entertain you a little bit throughout this lunch.
Yeah. And also, what kind of life have you been living? If I'm sitting with Mick Jagger and he's talking about himself, that's not going to be boring at all, I don't think. But, if you're talking to Bob the accountant next door, then, yeah, that might be. So.
You bring up a lot of good points. You're good at this radio thing. Next one on my list, these are all things that make you a boring person to be around. This one is you're too negative of a person. I don't know if boring is the right word. I feel like that makes you a shitty person to be around, but maybe not boring.
Annoying, obnoxious, and side-eye worthy for sure. Yeah, pessimism is sometimes appropriate, but not for the most part. But I don't know if I'd call you boring. That's a stretch.
They talk about negativity being infectious. So if you're too negative, it's going to make me negative. Yeah, we're going to hate our lives and being around each other. I don't know if that's boring or not. But.
There's a toxic circle that can form. Sometimes when you're gossiping with your coworker about, Bob and accounting and something, it can be a bonding point to all rip on the same idiot in the office. But if that's all you're doing, then you're just mean girls. And, and that's no good. It's about balance, people.
That's right. Next one on the list, these are things that make you a boring person to be around, is you aren't good at having dialogue with another person. That's fairly obvious, right? That would be boring. I hate trying to pull teeth with conversation. I'm really trying to get a conversation rolling here. You're giving me one-word answers and a lot of nothing. You're infuriating. You're not boring.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is infuriating. It is boring too, though. I mean, it's tough to hang out with somebody, especially if you're in a one-on-one sort of situation and you're doing all the heavy lifting. And Nick and I have a certain skill set where we're able to keep the conversation going and ask follow-up questions and whatnot. But that can become mentally exhausting. And I found in my dating world, it set a false standard. I had more than one woman be like, boy, this is so easy to talk to you. I'm like, yeah, because I'm doing all the heavy lifting.
Yes. You mean just listening, right? Yeah, I'm doing everything here.
Yeah, but no, yeah. Put a little effort in, people. Ask some follow-up questions. Think outside the box a little. Think about them. Ask them,
These are behaviors that make you a boring person to be around. If you have any of these things, we'll let you know if you're boring. If you don't have any of your own interests or hobbies, you're boring to be around, apparently.
Well, it's boring, but it's also a little sad. And I found myself in this situation in my 30s. I remember going to a therapist because my job, I became general manager at the radio station. It was stressing me out, and it was boiling into my personal life. So I went to get some therapy. And first question the therapist asked me, like, all right, so you're stressed out. So what are your hobbies? What do you do? I was like, I work. I pay bills. Like, I don't have any freaking hobbies. And not only would that probably make me a boring person to sit and socialize with, but it makes me somewhat a depressed person, and I have no outlet. And that's why I got back into dirt bike riding, and I try to play guitar more and ski when I can. Like, hobbies are good for you besides making you a boring person,
Yes. I struggle with it, just like you were struggling at that point in time. There's a lot of fun things I like to go out and do, but I guess I have a hard time calling them hobbies. What's the definition of a hobby?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
There is a technical one. I view hobby as some sort of non-necessary love or habit that you do that brings you some level of joy or entertainment.
So smoking is a hobby of mine. I mean,
and masturbation's a hobby too. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, some sort of tangible activity that you do that you don't have to do. You just find enjoyment in it.
Yes. Let me tell you what's next on our list of behaviors that make you a boring person to be around. You're superficial and too polite. I don't know why these are handcuffed to each other. You're superficial and too polite. It makes you a boring person to be around. Manners are always in style, but there's a problem. People that are too polite tend to come off as superficial and fake.
I agree. I'm not sure why those two words are tied together. That's a little odd to me, but I mean, if you're too polite and you're not willing to engage in any sort of back and forth, that could certainly be boring. If I'm going to register an opinion about a rock band or a politician and you're just like, I like everything. Everything's great.
Yeah.
I want a little opinion in people. I want a little pushback or a little debate. Is Pearl Jam better than Dave Matthews? Like, I don't know. Yeah, just having no opinion or being too polite about things. I mean, you and I were saying we kind of felt that way about our last producer. We started being so worried about his feelings that we were tiptoeing around stuff, and that does make things boring.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to look at it. I always feel like, I could give you my opinion and still be polite about it, but you want some emotion out of me. Yeah, and I understand that. Otherwise, it is a boring relationship. So maybe being too polite is a bit boring.
Yeah, I would say.
Next one on our list of behaviors that make you a boring person to be around. This is interesting. I don't know why this is on here. You're too serious and never smile. Of course, that makes you a boring person to be around.
Yeah, and I would argue, too, somebody who doesn't ever laugh, isn't that a little weird?
I would say it's a lot of weird, dude. And I don't, I think I was talking to Rachel about everyone's making fun of Kamala because she laughs crazy. Did you fall out of a coconut tree or whatever and then laugh? I've never seen Donald Trump laugh.
Right.
And don't you think that's more weird?
I think it's super weird.
Yeah.
I literally have never heard that man laugh. That has got to be some sort of indication of a sociopathic tendency or something. Like,
right.
And by the way, I don't think Kamala's laugh is anything particularly weird, but yeah, I challenge somebody, find it, because I'd like to see it. Find me some clip of Trump laughing. Like, that's not just a boring person to be around. That worries me.
Mentally unwell, dude. I mean, you go back to the clips from the 80s, and I never heard him laugh. I mean, on The Apprentice, that whole show, I never heard him laugh.
Yeah.
It's nuts, dude.
Yeah. And also, I've heard a few celebrities say that Donald Trump is the worst conversationalist because he will only talk about himself.